In media, there's a such thing called an alpha dog story, and the term was initially coined by a woman named Sally Stewart. She was a journalist, but she was also a media trainer. I believe she started out as a journalist and then she transitioned to media training. And the alpha dog story is basically an enduring and defining story that tells subsequent reporters and readers who you are and what you're about. It's possibly a story that was written early in your career, or either it is a story that is just defining and a story that just sticks. You can't get away from it. It could also be something that went viral, something that you said that went viral and it spread quickly, and then a story formed about who you are, what you think, or what you do. And I feel like when I think about Amanda Seales, I feel like she has a terrible alpha dog story. Hi everyone, this is the PR Whisperer, and on this page I offer commentary from the lenses of PR and also faith. So I have been thinking a lot about Amanda Seales because she's been in the news a lot over the last 6 to 8 months. And when she's in the news or when, there are stories about her, it is not always positive. Earlier this year, she did an IG Live and she talked about how she's never been invited or honored at an NAACP Image Awards event. She said that she hadn't been honored by Black Girls Rock, so that she had been to the BET Awards, but it's been a while. And basically also said that she had never been to Essence Women in Hollywood. And she said to her audience that if it were not for their support, she would question what she was doing because she was not celebrated in the way that we see some Black actresses. She generally felt sidelined, and she felt like in Black media spaces and in entertainment spaces, she was kind of pushed to the side. She spoke about this a lot and quite passionately, and then even after she went viral, she did a number of interviews on platforms such as Mark Lamont Hill's show. She was also on Shannon Sharp, and she did a bunch of interviews unpacking this and talking about her life and her work. And eventually, that story died down. But now she's back in the news. Most recently, she said that she had been summoned to meet with Vice President Kamala Harris, and that when she met with Vice President Kamala Harris, she told her that she sounds disingenuous when she talks, that people don't know what to think. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris is the presumptive Democratic nominee for president. She's also the first woman to become the vice president, the first Black and Indian American to become the vice president. And so there are a lot of people who are having a ton of feels about who she is, about what she can do, and the impact that it would have on our country. There's a lot of energy associated with her candidacy, and quite frankly, she's energized the base in a way that we have not seen in years. There are also a lot of people who are concerned about the impact of a second Trump presidency and some of the ideals espoused in Project 2025 and how that might impact us. So anyone who gets online and who speaks disparagingly about Vice President Kamala Harris right now, I think is going to face backlash. But also, Amanda Seales, her comments did not go over well in terms of what she said she told the vice president. And then before this, after the violence at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Amanda said that she thought the attack was staged. A lot of people said that on Twitter. I was quite surprised because when I hear people talk like that, it makes me think of conspiracy theories, and it makes me think of the people who typically peddle conspiracy theories. I also just think that when one person loses their life at a rally and other people are wounded, it's not time to talk about that event being staged. And it's like, who would set something like that up? So as I was thinking about all of this, I thought about this alpha dog story. And I feel like Amanda Seales has a narrative problem. And that negative narrative is reinforced, it seems like, quite frequently. When we hear about Amanda Seales, it is usually in reaction to something that she has said. It's not really something that she's doing career-wise. We don't hear much about what's happening in her career. And so this alpha narrative is following her, and I think it will follow her for a while, and it may be difficult for her to break through. But I also think that there's something else going on. Whenever a person has the courage and the boldness to state their feelings honestly, they're going to face pushback. No matter who you are going to face pushback. And we like to tell people to be authentic and to speak their truth. But what we don't say is that many people feel like they want you to be authentic as long as you agree with them. But if you disagree with them, they don't want to hear that. Now, I am not saying that Amanda Seales' narrative problem is not of her own making. I think part of it is of her own making. I feel like there are certain things that she has said and done in the past that really leave people with a sour taste in their mouth. When I think about what she said in response to Samara Rice, who was Tamir Rice's mom, and Tamir was the 12-year-old boy in Cleveland who was killed by police, and she had a question about how money raised for her son was used. Amanda Seales said something about that. She also said, I want to say in 2017, that people who purchased Nikes and Jordans but don't have a passport are losing. You know, she made a comment about people who don't have credit cards and how they're losing. And the interesting thing about the passport is, for people who are struggling to get by or living check to check, a passport may not be accessible. Even if you can afford to get one, right now they're about $150, even if you can afford to get one, if you don't have the discretionary funds to be able to travel abroad, if you don't have the discretionary funds to be able to travel within the United States, you likely are not going to invest in a passport. But she made those comments, and she made a broad statement about people who, you know, shop and perhaps spend their money on Nikes or Jordans but don't have a passport. All of these types of comments rub some people the wrong way. And so when I think about her narrative, I think that a lot of it is of her own making. When I think about the Alpha Dog story, I also think about typecasting. And typecasting is when you are only cast for one type of role. It could be a role in which you have had success. It could be a role that producers decide that is best for you. And when you think about typecasting, you also have to factor in the impact of race, gender, and class, because I believe that those impact and influence the types of roles that are available to Black actors and actresses. And, you know, some actors of color have even said that they felt like they were typecast or limited to a certain type of role. And so when I think about Amanda Seales, I feel like in some ways she has this terrible alpha dog story that maybe she has contributed to. Some ways I feel like, you know, she might be typecast where we expect one thing from her. And I just think that this is going to follow her. If she were in the media more often for things that she had put out or things that some might consider are positive, then she would have a different association, or people would have a different association when they think about her. But that's not necessarily the case. Generally speaking, I think we can sometimes inadvertently put ourselves in bad positions or undesirable positions when we speak up with opinions that are not popular, or when we don't think about the impact of our words. And I think that for celebrities, when you are constantly in the media for something that is not positive, or when you're constantly in the media for something that is not driving your work forward, that impacts how people see you and how they perceive you. And the perceptions that people have about us, they don't go away overnight. They can trail us for a long time. And if you think about Amanda Seales, if you ask the people who you know, if they've heard of her, chances are, I wonder if their association with her is positive or if it is negative. So these are my perspectives about Amanda Seales. If you like this content, if you feel like it resonates with you, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for listening.